Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash, and double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, love, salutations, and blessings to the house of David, which is the elect. And today I just want to touch on this post I seen earlier. It was a post of Putin, having a some type of orientation or discussion at this event, and he said a few things which I wanted to speak on, right? Because we know that the way this age ends, is by way of Yahawashi coming, to take down the powers, the principalities, the authorities of this world, and subduing and subjecting it all underneath his power, so that the whole earth will be full of the knowledge of Yahweh, right, through his son, only begotten son, Yahawashi, and all nations, all peoples, right, all tongues, all tribes will be underneath that rulership, which would be the kingdom of heaven. However, you have these people that are in power right now, these kings of the earth right now, that have this their own vain imaginations, right? They have their own vain opinions about the way that the world is supposed to be ran, or who is going to have control of it, or how the earth is supposed to be controlled. And really, this is the age of the heathens, right? But chiefly Esau, Edom, which Putin and the leadership over there in Russia, okay, they're Edomites, but this is why we always speak, okay, of the kingdom to come, because we're seeing a fight, a power struggle between a current system, right, which is known as the Western society or Western hegemony, okay, and now you have the Eastern powers, all right, that is now vying for power as well. They speak about a multipolar world, right? Both sides are speaking about a new world, order, in to the W to the O order system coming about, but both sides has their own plans or agenda for that to take place. And at the end of it all, what they're not taking into account is the return of Yahawashi, right? Which he's coming with a army, right, to set up and to establish a kingdom. All right, so I just wanted to touch on that and get some scriptures just to showcase, because here you have it. You have Edomites over here in the West that are trying to get back into that pseudo Christianity mentality. Over there in Russia, they speak about being Orthodox Christians, right? So they also say, right, that they are followers of the Bible, right, and they believe in the God of the Bible, and they believe in who they call Jesus, right, as being the Son of God. Yet none of them, right, whether it be the East or whether it be the West, none of them is actually looking for the kingdom of heaven to come on earth, which the kingdom of heaven is going to be established on earth, which is why the disciples asked Yahawashi when he returned, when he rose from the dead, right, will you at this time restore the kingdom back unto Israel, right? Restore the kingdom, the dominion of the kingship, the dominion of rule, will you now restore it back unto Israel? Because the last time the kingdom, or should I say the rulership, was under the dominion of Israel was during the time of King Solomon, which, if you have ears to hear, that was Yahawashi, right? And during the time of King Solomon, okay, as it says, let me see if I can pull that up. Let's see. Is it Second Samuel, Second Kings, or First Kings? I think it's First Kings 10. Let's see. Nope. So bear with me. Here we go. 1 Kings 5, verse 3. It says, Thou knowest how that David, my father, could not build an house unto his name. No, this isn't it either. Let's see. So bear with me. Let me try to find this. No, actually, yeah, it is here. 1 Kings chapter 5, verse 3 says, Thou knowest how that David, my father, could not build an house unto the name of Yahweh his power, for the wars which were about him on every side, until Yahweh put them under the soles of his feet. But now Yahweh my power hath given me rest on every side, so that there is neither adversary nor evil occurrence. See? So during the time of King Solomon, because of his father, King David, his conquering through war, right, taking down the nations that were round about him and subduing them, right, putting them into under subjection unto Israel, right, setting up garrisons, right, setting up, strongholds that would have, the heathens that were round about us subjected unto us. It was during the time of King Solomon, as he says, that he had rest on every side. Okay, let's see that in a different translation. You have in an NLT, it says, But now Yahweh my power has given me peace on every side. Every side I have no enemies, and all is well. See, so that is what the rulership and the reign of Solomon had, right? He had 40 years of peace. And from that time forward, right after Solomon died, the kingdom was split. And then since that time period, Israel has never been at a peaceful, state, right? We've always been in a position of being subjected or subjects, right? Being in captivity, having, provinces are made to pay tribute, to our enemies, which is why when the Messiah, Yahawashi, came on the scene, the disciples, thought that it was at that time that the Lord was going to reestablish or restore that peace back. And the only way that Israel is ever going to get that peace is by having our adversaries, our enemies, which are these other nations, subdued under us. See? And that is what Yahawashi is coming to do. Salakia. So here Putin says this. It says, breaking, Putin tries to scare the world again after Trump mockery. Putin appeared at the Valdea Forum and for the first time after Trump's humiliating mockery tried to intimidate the world again. So these are some of the talking points that Trump said. This is the main point, which I'm going to touch on. It says, there is no and there will be no force in the world that will dictate to everyone what to do and how to breathe, the dictator declared. So you can, obviously know that, whoever controls this channel is, looks at Putin in a negative light. It says he accused the West of, quote, deceiving its citizens, called the sanctions a complete failure, and complained that Russia was twice rejected from joining NATO. Putin also claimed that Russia is, quote, crucial for global balance and threatened to respond to Europe's militarization. To be continued. So let's actually listen to it.
Но нет и не будет силы, которая была бы в состоянии управлять миром, предписывать всем, что и как делать, как дышать. Такого никогда не. Попытки были, но они все закончились неудачей. Но нет и не будет силы, которая была бы в состоянии управлять миром, предписывать всем, что и как делать, как дышать. Такого никогда не. Попытки были, но они все закончились неудачей.
So he is saying this, basically in reference to the beast, right? Which the whore, America, rides upon that beast, but collectively the beast being NATO, right, and the EU, saying that they are trying to basically dictate to the world, right, how to operate, how to live, right, and going even as far as saying how to breathe. So he is saying, speaking about America and its allies, that they will never be able to. There will be no force in the world that will be able to do that. Which is why he is trying to spearhead a coalition, right, of a multipolar world order. But the thing is, Putin could not be any more wrong. All right, because there will be a force in the world, in this earth, that will dictate to everyone what to do, right? And they will dictate, right, not in the sense, or that force will dictate not in the sense of how to breathe, but how to live. All right, because breathing is living. So they will that kingdom or that force will dictate to everybody on the earth how to live. Okay, because that kingdom or that force will be established in righteousness. And when you, as the scripture says, because of unrighteous dealings and injuries, riches got by deceit and injuries, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. But the kingdom to come, which is the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Israel, established by Yahawashi, sitting upon a throne of David, that kingdom will be a righteous kingdom. And everybody on the earth will be subject to it. So now this is the kingdom that we're preaching of. This is the kingdom that we are, being heralds of, ushering in the kingdom of Yahawashi. As it says here in Daniel 2, verse 44, it's the divine kingdom. Now, if this man was such an Orthodox Christian, right, such a believer on the Bible, then why would he make such a statement? And this goes to show you how they don't actually truly believe in the scriptures, because it wasn't given unto them, right? And that kingdom that we're speaking of isn't a kingdom that they have parts in. They have a part of rulership in, right? Matter of fact, before I get that in nobles, before I get that in Daniel's themselves, let's see. Yep, Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 21. It says, you know what? Let's start at 18. Goes into the restoration of Jacob. Will you now at this time restore the kingdom to Israel? The word restoration means what? The action of returning something to a former owner, place, or condition. To reinstate, to reinstitution, reinstall, right? To repair. That is what the Lord is going to do for the nation of Israel, starting with the elect. He's going to reinstall the Israelites back to the authority of the earth. Because as Ezra said, that the earth was created for our sakes. See, the earth and everything that was in it was created for the sons of God, starting chiefly with Yahawashi. Really, it was created for Yahawashi. Okay, but Yahawashi, being the first of many brethren, gave us part of that kingdom to be joint heirs with him. So what he is coming to do is to restore the kingdom back unto himself, and therefore, by definition, back unto Israel. So Jeremiah 30, verse 18, thus saith Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents. See, because Jacob would be in captivity until the restoration comes, right? And in that restoration, once again, comes by way of the return of Yahawashi, which goes to show you that those people who claim they are, the JOOs are not the people of the book, because The scriptures plainly tells you that the true Israelites, the seed of Jacob, would be in a destitute position, right? They would be in a captivity, they would be in a captive position until their Redeemer comes. And those people are not captives, right? They speak boldly about, having a homeland, having sovereignty, having power in the earth. Matter of fact, they are the top power on the earth. It says, and have mercy on his dwelling places, and the city shall be builded upon her own heaps, on her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. Yeah, there's not going to be any, missile sirens going off, when Israel is restored. There's not going to be any bomb shelters where you got to run and hide, from danger. It tells you this in the same chapter that Israel is going to dwell safely, right? Jeremiah 30 verse 10. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith the Lord, neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, because Israel was going to be scattered, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. Right? Because when Yahawashi comes, he is going to return Israel back to their land from all of the lands that they were scattered, primarily here in the daughter of Babylon, Babylon the Great, aka America. And Jacob shall return. See, in order to return, you got to be not in that place, right? And shall be in rest and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. See that? No, nobody is going to make us afraid once we return to the land. So going back here, verse 19, and out of them shall proceed thanksgivings and the voice of them that make merry. Yeah, and that's not happening over there in the land of Israel right now. The people that are over there, they're not making merry. They're protesting against the government, right? They're uproars there. They have, dissension. Even the military, right? The soldiers that are in the military, they're offing themselves, deleting themselves because of, the horror that they're committing, right? They can't live with the guilt. Okay, so they're not in a merry position. It says out, and I will even BB himself is not in a merry position, right? Shameful spewing upon his glory, right? He's being greatly despised amongst, the nations. When we get restored, we're not going to be despised amongst the nations, man. We're going to be feared, and they're not in the 40 years. They're not even feared. It says, and I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. And I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them. See, this is the Lord. Hey, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Okay? And he's going to exact that vengeance by way of who? The kinsman's redeemer, Yahawashi. Which Yahawashi said that the day of vengeance burns in his heart. Because the duality of Yahawashi's return is to save and also to avenge. Right? To restore us and to also punish those that oppress us. Verse 21 is the point. And they're nobles. What is a noble? Okay? Because you have this false ideology, right? Amongst the Christian philosophy that all nations will have anybody of any nation will have a position of being, a part of the blessing that the Lord is going to give unto Israel. No. Okay. That is only going to be given unto his people. So the word here, right, for nobles is adayar, right? Adayar. It says, or adyar, depending on the, how you want to break it down. But adayar or adyar, which means the great majestic, right, of kings. So great majestic of kings, nations, gods. Great one, majestic ones. Okay? Majestic one. We're going to be majestic. because we're going to have those new those bodies made from heaven, right? It says majestic means having or showing impressive beauty or dignity. Having or showing impressive beauty or dignity. Does not the scriptures say that the Lord shall beautify the meek with salvation? Let's see. Psalms 149 verse 4. For Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi, taketh pleasure in his people. Who is his people? The Israelites. He will beautify the meek with salvation. There you go. So the Lord is going to beautify us. He's going to make us majestic because we're going to be made in his image. We're going to be like he is, as John said. It says, great one, majestic one, of nobles, chieftains, and the servants, right? And just like during the time of Solomon, where you had, Solomon's servants, which those individuals were Israelites, okay? The cupbearer, right? Those that were in the court, right? The courthouse, those that waited on him, in his palace, where Sheba's the queen, right? Her name isn't Sheba; she's the queen of Sheba. When the queen of Sheba saw those individuals, they were so decked out, they were so majestic, right, in their apparel, that she thought that they were the king, that was the king. So all of Israel, from the greatest to the least, are going to be majestic because they all are going to have those glorified bodies, right? They're all going to have those godlike bodies. And that's only something that is exclusively given unto Israel. And with that body comes power. And with that power comes dominion and rulership, which is only given unto who? His people. It says, and their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governor. What is a governor? A ruler shall proceed from the midst of them. Starting with who? Yahawashi. And then you have King David, right? Because when you read back up, it tells you that King David, right? Verse 9, but they shall serve Yahweh their power and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. So you're going to have Yahawashi, and then underneath Yahawashi, King David, and then underneath David, the rest of the apostles, the 11 disciples, right? And then underneath them, you're going to have the rest of the 144,000, 12,000 from each tribe of Israel as the governing body. And then you're going to have the rest of the nation of Israel. That is the nation of Israel be the ruling class nation. But then amongst the ruling class nation, you have the rulers of the ruling class, which would be the governing body, which all proceed out of the seed of Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel. It says, and I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is that is engaged in his heart to approach unto me, saith the Lord. So the point being what? Their nobles shall be of themselves, right? Let's see what that says. Different translation. It says, they will have their own ruler again, right? Oh, I like this one, NIV. Their leader will be one of their own. Their ruler will arise from among them. See, they have ruler, but it says nobles. So it's going to be multiple rulers, all in their rank, of course, but it's all going to come from their own. You see? So now let's go here to Daniel 2 verse 44, the divine kingdom. Like I said, the reason why Putin can say something like this is because the rulers of this world don't rule righteously. See? So because they don't rule righteously, because the justice is not, their strength, right? Oh, Salakia, let me just thought of something. I think I have this chapter pulled up, but as one of the precepts, but I just wanted to pull something real quick. Where is it at? Yeah, Isaiah 60 verse 18. it says, violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting, no, nor destruction within thy gates, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation and thy gates praise. See, because the our rule and our reign, right, which will be joint heirs, as we will be joint heirs with Yahawashi, right, the rulership of and the reign of Israel will be through salvation, right? It will be an established rulership based off of being saved. That's why in Jeremiah 30 it said, I will save thee from afar off. See, that's not something that they're looking for. They're looking to rule based off of their own merit, okay, based off of their allegiances and alliances and their, power that they have via their missiles and all these things. But that's not how that's not how we're looking to be ruling or becoming rulers. We're going to rule based off of the salvation of Yahawashi. And he is coming to wage war, but that war would be based off of righteousness, to establish a righteous kingdom. They're not looking to establish a righteous kingdom. Yeah, they may say, oh, we're fighting a holy war, or, we're fighting for a noble cause. But if it doesn't measure up to the standard of what Yahweh considers righteous, what Yahweh considers noble, then it's not. All right. And there is no middle ground. There is no, some of it is righteous and some of it's noble, but other parts is not. No, everything that Yahawashi did, as he said, when he was on the earth, he always does the things that pleases his Father, which is why, right, when he was raised up, he said, what? All power in heaven and in earth has been given unto him. And what do you think he's going to do when he comes back to the earth with that power? You think he's going to not force, right, his will upon the earth? The earth was given. The earth is his. Psalms, the 2nd chapter. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thy possession, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thine inheritance. Gotta pull it. Gotta get it. Right? Because when he gets that, he already has it, but when he displays that power, right, he's going to do it in its full effect. Right? Psalms 2:8. Ask of me, and I will give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Only ask, and I will give you the nations as your inheritance. And why is that? Because he is the Son of God, the Most High Yahweh. This all belongs to him. But as his son, right, as Yahawashi being Yahweh's son, he inherited all of this. It says the whole earth as your possession. Not parts of the earth, and what is he going to do when he gets that? Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. So what Putin says here about there is no and there will be no force. Hey, you're going to, every idle word, right, is going to have to give an account, because if Putin doesn't die in this up and coming Third World War, which clearly that's where everything is heading to, he is going to be one of the first fruits of slavery, right? Psalms 149 speaks about what? To bind their kings with chains and their nobles, with fetters of iron. This is an honor that all of the saints are going to have. So he is going to actually witness with his eyes a force that will dictate to everyone what to do, because that is what the rod of iron rulership is going to be. It's going to be a dictatorship of righteousness. See, people don't like the word dictator because it has a bad connotation. Because of the ones who are in a position to be dictators, they're heathens and they're wicked. Okay, but when you have a monarchy, then in essence the king is a dictator, and that is what Yahawashi is coming as, a king, the King of Kings. And he also says that he is going to make us kings and priests, and we are going to reign with him, and we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. See, that whole that whole saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely. No, that's a thing of this age. That's a thing of the heathen's world. That's not going to matter if you have a righteous king. Matter of fact, let me just do it for shits and giggles. What does absolute power destroys absolutely mean? Let's see. The phrase absolute power corrupts absolutely means that unlimited or unchecked authority tends to lead to moral decay and abuse by those who hold it, eroding their ethics and sense of responsibility as power increases. See, once again, it says in essence, power has a corrupting influence, but when it is total and without restraint, like in dictatorships or absolute monarchies, it inevitably results in a complete corruption, often prioritizing self-interest over the greater good. What if the one in power is absolutely righteous? The idea of an absolutely righteous person wielding absolute power challenges the phrase absolute power corrupts absolutely. So it challenge a human, but see why that it says, but it doesn't entirely negate it. Even a person with impeccable morals can be corrupted by unchecked power due to human nature and external pressures. See that? This is why this age is for the heathen, but the age to come is only for the sons of God. This is why we are going to be changed, right? We're going to put off the mortal and put on the immortal. We're going to put off the corruptible and put on the incorruptible. What if they are incorruptible? If someone is truly incorruptible, meaning they are absolutely immune to moral decay, because we won't be mortals, so we can't be immune. I mean, we can't decay, right? The laws, right, of Yahawashi, which is righteous, are going to be put within our inward parts. So our morality will never grow old; it will never decay. It says temptation, that's going to be gone away, or self-interest, that's going to be gone, right? Because it's going to be our rulership, as it says in Revelation 22, is going to be for the healing of the nations. And also, as it says in Wisdom of Solomon, right? Kind of jumping, but it's all good. Wisdom of Solomon 6, verse 24, but the multitude of the wise, what multitude? Right? The governing body, the elect, right? Of the wise is the welfare of the world. And a wise king is the upholding of the people. So the rulership of the righteous kingdom, which is the kingdom of Israel, which will be a force that everybody that will dictate to everybody how to live righteously, is going to be the welfare of the world. Right? So it says, temptation of suffering. Then the phrase absolute power corrupts absolutely might not apply to them in the traditional sense. However, the concepts of incorruptibility raises complex questions about human nature, power dynamics, and practical realities. Once again, because this is of this age, right? Of this corruptible, we're going to be putting on the incorruptible. So this won't apply to us. They're about to find what the world is about to see is that absolute righteous power does not corrupt absolutely. Matter of fact, absolute righteous power brings welfare absolutely, brings peace absolutely. Okay? That's what absolute righteous power will do. And this world has never seen that before. But they're about to. So what Putin said here, that there will be no force, that's because he's looking at it from a human standpoint. But humans were not made, this world was not created for humans to rule. And that is why you see it's the decadency of the world, right? That is why you see the uproars of the people. That is why you see the chaos, you see the instability, you see the corruption, you see the greed, all of these human aspects, all of these carnal, fleshly aspects. You see that polluting the world. The earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. The earth was created for gods to rule. The sons of gods, of the son of God, the sons of God specifically. And that is who is going to have dictatorship when Yahawashi, the son of God, comes. Yep. So let's get it. It says, in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven, who is that Yahweh, set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. Why will it never be destroyed? Because there's going to be a kingdom of righteousness. Okay, it's going to be an absolute righteous kingdom from top to bottom. And we're going to push that vibration forcefully onto the inhabitants of the world. You're not going to have a choice. You're not going to have an option. Now, you're still going to be human, so you still will be able, right? Speaking about the heathens, they still will be able to do things that go against the law. But guess what? Judgment will go out swiftly and speedily. Judgment will not be slacked. Judgment will not be corrupt. And that is how you're going to have a righteous kingdom. And the king, Salakia, in the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So all of these kingdoms of the world are going to be done away with. Matter of fact, let's get it. All of the rulerships of the world and the heathens and their authorities are going to be gone. It's not going to be a such thing as a Russian sovereignty. Okay. That you have your own laws, or, the Moabite, the Chinese sovereignty where you rule in your own way. No, you might have your inheritance, which will be the land, but your rulership, or shall I say your laws, are going to be our laws. Or shall I say our laws are going to be your laws. And there will be no other way. Revelation 11, verse 15. And the seventh angel, right, the seventh trumpet, Hamashiach's reign foreseen seen before, to be aware beforehand, predict, envisioned, because what John saw was the future. Okay. He says, and the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Mashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever. Okay, the kingdoms of this world, country, state, or territory ruled by a king or a queen, the dominion, the realms, right, the land, the nation, the sovereign state. Okay, that is why you got countries going to war right now, because they have their own sovereign state of being, but yet it's being challenged by another country and based off of their sovereign state of living. And this is why he says this. You can't force us, right? But Putin saying you can't force us to live the way you want to live. There will never be a force in the world that can do that. And he is saying that because of what he has, the power, the nuclear capabilities that he has. But see, that is what you got, coming to a head, where you got two forces that are trying to control how society or how the world is going to operate. How does that get resolved? You get resolved by war. But once again, the resolution isn't going to be based off of one of those two human nations winning, because in the midst of this war, you're going to have the righteous king to come to set up the righteous kingdom. And that is why it says, saying the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord. It doesn't get more simpler than that. Right? It says, the world is now become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Mashiach, and he will reign forever and ever. Where is he going to reign? On the earth. And as we read, that kingdom is not going to never be destroyed, because it's the foundation of it is righteous. The rulers of it are righteous, and they're incorruptible. That is the true image of the Most High's eternity, and that will be the true image of Yahweh's knowledge on the earth. It's going to be by way of his people ruling. That's how the world is going to know that he is, when he is magnified, when he is sanctified in us, amongst in the sight of the nations. Let's pull that up. It was that Ezekiel 39, I think. Yep. Ezekiel 39 verse 17. It says, oh, you know what? Israel restored. Israel restoration, the divine kingdom, all of that is synonymous. See, it says, therefore, Ezekiel 39 verse 25, therefore, thus saith Yahweh power, now will I bring again the captivity of Jacob, as we read in Jeremiah 30, and have mercy upon the whole house of Israel, the whole 12 tribes, starting with the elect, and through the elect, the whole nation, and will be jealous for my holy name. Okay, the zeal of the Lord shall perform this for his name's sake. And after that they have borne their shame, which is being, put in this destitute position, having no power, right? The earth being created for our sake, but not having an inheritance with the world. That's a shameful thing. Not even being considered a nation. These kings of the earth, when they think about ruling and power struggle, they're not thinking about, we got to watch out for the sons of Jacob and their power that they have on the earth. We don't have any power on the earth right now. That's why we are looking for the kingdom to come. Here we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come. And when Yahawashi comes with that power and he changes us, and when we return, that's why John said, I saw a new heaven and new earth, and I saw the new Jerusalem come down, that city come down from heaven. Because we are going to be the city is the people. So they're going to see the people of the kingdom, right? The people of the established rulership come down, and we're going to look like we're going to be in humanoid forms, but we ain't going to look like your average everyday human. Okay, and the power is going to glow off of us. They're going to see, right, the sanctification. Okay, they're going to see that we are the sons of God. Go back here. It says, after that they have borne their shame and all their trespasses whereby they have trespassed against me, when they dwelt safely in their land and none made them afraid. When I have brought them again from the people and gathered them out of their enemies' lands, and am sanctified in them in the sight of many nations. See that? The Lord is going to sanctify himself by way of changing us, by saving us and then changing us to be made in his image, to wherefore we're able to subdue all things, right? That is how the world is going to know that Yahweh, right, that name, that power, the one and only true living God, he is, because what he did for his people, right? It says, when I have brought them back from the nations and have gathered them from the countries of their enemies, I will be proved holy through them in the sight of many nations. Oh, call Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi. Okay, it says, when I have brought them back from the peoples and gathered them from their enemies' lands, and through them have vindicated my holiness in the sight of many nations. Boom. That's what the Lord is going to do. And with that, right, comes what? The restoration of Israel. And it's going to be because of the power that Yahawashi is coming with and the power that he is going to give us as well. And with that, we're going to subdue the nations. Subdue the nations, the heathen. They will be underneath us. Right? It says, Isaiah 2 verse 2. It's a good one. This is a known one. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains. Okay, the government of the Lord's house shall be established on the top of all the other mountains, all the other governments. We read that in Revelation 11, and shall be exalted above the hills, and the nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the God of Jacob. See, the God of Jacob. They're going to know about the God of Jacob, Yahweh. It's going to be by way of his son, Yahawashi, and his sons, the elect. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. Wait, hold on. You said there will be no force that will dictate to everyone what to do. No, there will be. You're going to walk in our ways, and we're going to teach you. So like you're going to teach you our ways, and you're going to walk in our paths. For the law, Salakia, for out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. What does that sound? That sounds like we are telling you what to do. We're showing you how to live. That is what that's going to be. And it's going to be by way of a rod of iron, right? It's not going to be, okay, class, come in, and it's not going to be optional. It's either you do it or you're going to get subjected, beat into doing it. What is it? Luke 19, those my enemies that would not that I should reign over them, bring them hither and slay them before me. Oh, as I said it, let's get it. Here, Isaiah 60, verse start at 11. It says, therefore thy gates shall be open continually, because ain't nobody going to make us afraid, right? We're not going to have to shut our gates and try to keep out intruders and keep out thieves and robbers and looters and army. Nah, there ain't going to be no other. There's not going to be any armies to come up against us. So we're going to be able to keep our gates open continually. Who's going to try to challenge? See, when Yahawashi returns, that's going to be the last time. That's going to be the first and last time that you mere mortals are going to try to challenge a God. That's going to be the first and the last time that you mere mortals, you heathens, will try to challenge physically, right? Trying to challenge a God, because you're going to see his return, but your pride, and it's really the Lord's movie, Yahweh's movie, for you to try to use everything that you got, shoot every nuke, every missile, every tomahawk, and it's not going to just be one nation. It's going to be all of the nations together. That's how the Lord is going to imagine that. Imagine, right? You got these nations fighting each other, and they're separate, right? And so much damage is going to take place. But then they're all going to stop fighting one another, and they're all going to use all of their missiles, all of their arsenal. The Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians, the small hats of Babylon, right? The land Babylon is going to be destroyed. But if you got any other Babylonian army men that is scattered, they're going to fight the NATO, right? You got South America, okay? They're going to use some of their missiles, right? Africa, they're going to use theirs. The Hamites, the Ishmaelites, the Elamites. They're all going to try to fight the Lord. And the Lord's going to destroy all of them. All of their armies are going to be destroyed. So like I said, that's going to be the first and last time that you try to challenge a God. And that is why once the day of the Lord is finished, right? Once the Lord destroys all of your armies, and put you into complete subjection. And once all knees bow and the kingdom is established, our doors are going to be open continually. And for what reason? That men, right? Men, the sons of men, may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, right? Which is the wealth, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and the kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yeah, those nations shall be utterly wasted. So if you have it in your mind after the day of the Lord, after he destroys your armies, if you have it in your mind, you heathens have it in your mind, if you still have this in your mind, which it'll be very remiss, to see a heathen still say that, oh, there will be no force in the world that would dictate. Well, guess what? If you don't come to serve, if you don't come to bow, then you're going to perish. You're going to be utterly wasted. Because eventually, right, after those 1,000 years of you learning, of you being in subjection under that rod of iron, the common knowledge, right, the way of life will be that we dictate to everyone what to do and how to breathe. And it's going to, and see, the thing is, you're going to learn how righteous and how pleasant and how peaceful it is to be underneath the rulers of Israel, underneath the rule of the gods. You're going to come to appreciate our reign, because you're going to see the actual benefits of it. See, right now, nobody sees the benefits of Esau ruling, which is why you got Esau kingdom falling apart. That the lavishness of America's glory, that facade is gone, and it's not coming back. But our lavishness, our increase of the government, right, of Israel is not going to happen. Is not going to have an end. It's going to continuously be perfect and beautiful, and it's always going to gain more beauty and more. It's not going to stop. The piece is just going to continue to grow and grow and grow, to where the laws of Yahawashi, the laws of Israel, will be the common. That's going to be second nature. It's going to be like breathing. Well, I should say, not like breathing for the heathen, because you're still going to go off, but you're going to be trying to live it to perfection. And as you continue to get beat, just like how you do wickedness easily, it's going to, after a while, it's going to be easier. I ain't gonna say easy. It's going to be easier for you heathens to do righteousness. Because if you don't, then you're going to have to deal with the judgment of breaking the law. And that ain't going to be something that you going to like going through. Psalms 72 verse where is it? Psalm 72, verse 11. It says, "Yeah, all the kings shall fall down before him, all nations shall serve him." Now, this was a prayer that David had for Solomon, but really in the spirit, this was prophetic, speaking about the kingdom of Yahawashi. Okay, all nations are going to serve him. Okay, let's get that in Daniel 7, verse 27. It says, "In the kingdom, in the dominion, and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven." And it's not going to be no part on the earth that the Lord don't rule, that Israel doesn't reign in, "shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High." This is another foreseen vision. "Whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom in all dominions." All dominions, not some, sovereignty or control, right? "All dominions shall serve and obey him." Point blank, period. All nations are going to serve and obey Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, and the nation of Israel. And if you don't, if you try not to, as it says here, the Most High will be king over all. Read here, Zechariah 14, verse 9. And the Lord shall be king over all the earth, and in that day shall there be one Yahweh, and his name one. Right? Meaning what? It's not going to be, oh, there's this God, or, this is the God I believe in. No, everybody's going to know that there's only one living God. See, right now, people don't know that. Right now, people think, oh, some people think there's no God. But when Yahawashi returns, right, when that man comes from heaven with the clouds of glory, right, not meeting thee as a man, you're going to know, oh, he has to be a God. And then on top of that, the power that he's going to come with is going to showcase that. And then the way that he is going to change mortals right in front of you into immortals, you're going to know that, oh, this is a God. This is the living God. As it says, he's going to come with the almighty power of the Most High. The world, all the earth is going to know, oh, there is a God. There was that the lady in Mist. There is a God, the God of the Israelites. Right? She said, some say that there's many gods, or some say that there is no God. No, there is a God, the God of the Israelites. And he is an angry and vengeful God. And he is going to exact vengeance. Right? Get this here. Verse 12. It says, and this shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi will smite all the people. Oh, Salakia, no. That's talking about the destruction, but I wanted to get this here. It says, verse 16, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations, right? Because after this destruction, after that plague, after these missiles drop, the earth is going to have the earth's population is going to downsize dramatically. Okay. So everyone that is left after all nations, which came against Jerusalem, shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And it shall be that whosoever will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, and to worship the King Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that shall come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that shall come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And that's just one of the high holy days, right? But that's just signifying that if you don't even keep our holidays, because right now in Esau's kingdom, you cannot celebrate. We don't celebrate Esau's holidays. We don't celebrate the 4th of July. We don't celebrate Christmas, New Year's, Memorial, none of those. Nothing, and there's nothing. There's no law against it. But in our kingdom, right, because the Feast of Tabernacles is a law, right, that you're supposed to keep. All of our high holy days are laws. So you keeping our holy days is not a matter of, you don't have discretion. And that goes to show you that it's going to be a dictatorship, right? If you don't celebrate our holy days, you're going to be hit with a plague. And the plague is going to be what? No rain. And things are going to go back to the old ways where you're going to need rain. I mean, you still need rain. You always need rain. But you're going to need rain, in order for you to have, your land to be, plentiful, your land to be bountiful, for you to have crops, right? For you to have, irrigation, for you to have clean water. So if you don't follow our ways, and the Lord, we may just put it on your spirit just to do it, just so we can judge you. And that's the beauty of being a God, right? Because as it says in Revelation 2 verse 26, that we shall have power over the nations. Okay, and that with that power comes mental and physical power. So we can actually have power over your mind, which is what Esau is trying to do now with his charagma. But you ain't gonna get, you're not gonna get that. You're not gonna get that off on its full extent. You see, but That's pretty much it. That's I can't say the skinny of it, because we went for a pretty well in time, an hour, but that's the answer to what Putin says here, that there will be no force in the world to dictate to everyone what to do and how to breathe. Well, you wait until Yahawashi comes and you'll see if that's the case. Shalom.